About 6.5 years ago, I did a tour for you guys on my own personal van, the Mega Airstream. That video on YouTube got almost 5 million views, 68,000 likes, and over 7,000 comments. And I read all those comments. I got a lot of love, but I also got a lot of hate. Well, today, I'm gonna give you an updated tour of the Mega Airstream. Owning a van has been pretty fantastic. I'm able to pack up for a day trip, an overnighter, a weekend getaway, even a week's long trip without any planning, without any preparation. Owning a four-wheel drive camper van really allows me to go places that you just can't take a typical RV. I don't stay at campgrounds. I do harvest host and I do overnighters and areas where you're allowed to park overnight. And this van is incredible. I got cooking, I got a big lithium battery bank, I'm fully self-contained, and it's really changed my life. So what it is a 1997 Airstream B190. Airstream is famous for their travel trailers, but they've been building camper vans since 1988, and they ran these all the way until 2000. They built 1,384 of them. The early models had the Ford 460 V8 gas engine, and the later models, 97 and newer, had the Ford V10. That's what mine has, and it's been fantastic. And a lot of comments in the video said, hey, you threw a lot of money into this. You added four-wheel drive, you did the inside. It's such an old vehicle, you wasted your money. That thing's gonna break down and be in a junkyard in a couple of years. Well, here it is still, and it's doing fantastic. And also, I said some things in that video, and a lot of people got upset. I don't believe in awnings. I think they're problems. I don't sit around long enough to need an awning, so I never put an awning on this. I also have a black tank on board. A lot of people don't like black tanks. They like cassette toilets and they like compost style toilets. Well, this is easier. I'm gonna show you why and tell you why it's easier for me and my lifestyle. Now, I don't live in this van. I do work out of it. I film a lot of my YouTube videos. Sometimes I'll film 8 videos in one day, and I'll have this set up in my little office. And also I use it for weekend adventures, day trips, week-long getaways. I've been as far up as Maine, I've been to Ithaca, I've been down to Virginia, I've been a lot of places, but I don't like just sitting around driving all the time. I like to drive a few hours and stop and do something for the day. And when I find my destination, I find all the cool things I could do within an hour or 2 hours from that location. And I use a lot of harvest hosts. I don't check into campgrounds, I don't need to, I'm fully self-contained. So this van has original paint. It's getting a little faded since the last video. It lived its whole life in Arizona, so there's absolutely no rust underneath. I upgraded the headlights and the side lights, so they're a little bit brighter in the last video, but you can see they got some weathering, so I already have new ones on order. I had a bird strike, so the original oval Ford grill, well, that got trashed, so I put in this really cool Raptor looking grill. I have the aluminous front bumper, all aluminum powder coated. That's held up very well. And I have the Rigid Industries lights. These are all the same things I put on the van 7.5 years ago, and what you saw in the video 6.5 years ago. The hood was just regular painted. It was really badly worn, so I put Raptor liner on this. I actually rattle canned it myself, and it's holding up fantastic. I added vents here to the hood, because when you're sitting in stop and go traffic, there's a tremendous amount of heat that builds up underneath here. So that helps this engine area breathe. And I noticed when I'm driving, this thing sits so high. If I'm at a crosswalk and people are walking by and they have kids, I can't see if I've cleared those kids. So I put a front camera up there. So that allows me to see what's going on in the front of the van. Now, I never put a winch in. I was going to, but I never needed to. I don't do that type of off-roading. And I have an air chuck here because I have ARB dual compressor on board. And there's a front hitch receiver, so I could put a bike rack, I could put a tray, I could put a cooler in there. And you can see the top. Everybody always asks me, like, where'd you get the top? Well, I didn't get the top. Airstream bought the regular van, they cut a big hole in the roof and put the top on. And that allows me to fully stand up inside the van. If you want a top like that, Fiberline. They still build tops for these vans. They could ship it to you, you could drive all the way out to their facility and they could install one on your van. They have one very similar to this. Now, UJoint Off-Road, they did the four-wheel drive conversion. What they do is they put a Dana 60 axle in the front. This is from a early 2000s Ford F350, and they shift it forward a few inches so it has a really cool stance. I got Fox shocks here, 410 gears. They added a transfer case. They also shortened the fuel tank, so they have about 24 gallons of fuel. And yeah, I got a lot of hate for the fuel economy. I get 7 miles a gallon. No matter what I do, I get 7, and that's fine. Like I said, I don't just drive around aimlessly. I have purpose stops, and I bike a lot. So I'll leave the van set up and I'll go bike for the day. And it's been fine. It really hasn't been a lot. I have 109,000 miles. I think I had 70,000 miles back then. Different rims than what the Ford came with. I did put new tires on it. The other tires only lasted about 30,000 miles. And it has your locking hubs here in the front. Let's see, what do we got in here? So there's an S-Pod underneath the hood, and it allows me to add all these different switches. So I have one for an air compressor, and that's stored in the outside compartment. And then I have, let's flip all these on and we'll go around front and we'll take a look. So up front, these amber lights are also the same switch as what's in the grill. And I have two brights down here. They're both angled and a little bit different. I have these really big brights up top here. I added these since the last video because I just felt like these didn't do a good enough job. But they're all right off the S-Pod over here. Simple things. I added a little pad. You know, you do a lot of driving and you want your shoulder, your elbow to be comfortable. Some WeatherTech mats here. And then here's a cool thing. Like, I always scan where I'm going to park for the day. I don't want the van to get broken into. My friend actually built this stainless steel column lock. So this thing slips over the top and bottom of the column, and it prevents you from getting to ignition and also shifting it into gear. So I just put this on to keep people honest. It really makes me feel a little bit better. I do have internet on board. I have 4G internet, and I have a Nest Cam. So when I park, I pull all the shades and close them. And if something happened, I'll get an alert on my phone, and at least I'll know I could go and do something. And then up top here, you know, it's tricky. When you're in New York and you want to drive, your regular GPS is going to want to get you on a parkway, which you're not allowed on in New York, because this thing is 11 foot tall, and I'd scrape the air conditioning off. So I got the Garmin RV, and that I put in my height, I put in my weight, I put in that I have propane, and it will reroute you because your regular GPS is going to want to take you on the quickest route. Well, that could get you in a jam. So that's been a lifesaver for me. UJoint Off-Road, when they had the van, this had stickers and stripes and decals, baby blue, painted fenders. I had them rhino line the whole exterior. And after 7.5 years, it's worn through in quite a bit of spots. And you'll see some spots where it just totally chipped off. So I'm gonna address that eventually. You didn't see this in the last video, but there was an Awnings gasoline generator on board, which I rebuilt and it ran fantastic, but it was noisy, stinky, and it vibrated. And I never used it a lot. So what I did was I took that out and I installed 3 Lithionics batteries. So I have over 12,000 watt hours of 12 volt power that powers up my 3,000 watt Victron Multiplus inverter. And this is the old generator compartment. So this is a steel box that's completely separate from the inside of the van, and it's vented outside. for the old generator, I was able to fit and slip these in, have some foam on the side and some braces. And each one of these batteries has its own on-off switch on the battery, and there's 3 on-off switches on the inside. And they have internal BMS as well. So they're very safe, but like back when I put these in, there wasn't a lot of trust on lithium batteries in the marketplace. So I thought, what better place to put it than in my generator compartment. So that's a nice upgrade. So I can run my air conditioning through the night with these batteries, and I never run it down. In here, this is a great compartment. This goes back pretty far. So I have some tracks, as you can see, they're used. I have some extra motor oil. I have some leveling blocks. And look, I had some spillage with some oil. Uh-oh. I'll have to fix that. And then here's my ARB compressor that I use a lot. You know, you want to air down your tires and have a way to pump them back up. I could use the ARB compressor and get them up. Each tire, if you deflate them down to like 15, 20 PSI, I mean, it takes about 10 minutes to put air back into those tires. So they're there for a while, but I would say it was a good investment putting the ARB. I got a chuck in the back of the van, so I have one to snap in it in the front and one in the back, and I could reach all the tires. Back since I first bought this, I put air suspension in the back, and I could manually pump each airbag up. So depending on how much water I have on board or how much gear I have inside, I could adjust suspension accordingly. The old refrigerator that was in here was a propane fridge. It was a 2-way, so it was gas and electric. I always worried about having the propane on when I was driving. So I took it out and I replaced it with a 12-volt compressor fridge, NovaCool fridge, and that was about 5 years ago. The vent is still here and there's still a roof vent up top. But what I did is I put a WeBoost in here, and this helps vent that fridge. For the WeBoost, here's the antenna, and this unclips, and I can swing it all the way up on this ram mount and get some reception. And when I'm driving on the highway, I can swing it down and lock it right in place. Put the luminous ladder on board. So up here on the roof, I have the Houghton 9800 BTU air conditioner. I have a bathroom fan. This is the old refrigerator vent. And I clean this roof every 3 months. You can see it's already getting some spots on it. And that just keeps the streaks from coming down the side of the motorhome. So I wash it and wax it. I have 320 watts of solar. I have my internet antenna, max fan, and then I have a black tank vent there, and also a backup camera back here. So I used almost every inch of the roof that I could use for solar or systems. And this just replaces an old Dometic 11,000 BTU air conditioner. This is more slimline, it's lower profile overall in the van. It doesn't even stick up higher than my front max air fan that's up there. And then the top of the van, when I first got it, I had it wrapped. So a company local wrapped the top because this was just plain fiberglass with stripes on it, and I had a vinyl wrapped, and that was only supposed to last about 4 years. Still looking good. Over here, I have a 30 amp shore power connection, so I can plug in if I need to. I rarely ever need to plug in. I'm fully self-contained. And I have a city water connection here with water pressure regulator built in. I have a 7-gallon black tank with a blade valve here, and I have a 11-gallon gray waste tank. And I can hook up a garden hose here and let the gray dribble out into a waste station at a campground, which I'm never at. Or I could take this whole thing off and snap on a waste hose, which is over here. If you want to pan in, open this up, and I have a waste hose in that tube. And look at this, freshwater tank chamber. That is a replica of the original one that was there that fell down just because of old age. So that freshwater tank gives me about 18 gallons of fresh water, and it's in an insulated chamber, which is also heated. So when I have the furnace on, that keeps all the tanks in here, prevents them from freezing. Now I still winterize it because I'm not going to leave the heat on every day, all day long. But I have a ratchet strap on it still because it's up there, it's really good, but just in case I don't want to get on my back on the side of a highway again and strap a tank up. Spare tire and a swing arm. This is a luminous back bumper. This I added. This is a Pelican case. So this is really nice. You could buy the luminous boxes, but they're pretty expensive. I just figured this would be a little bit better. The concern I had was the luminous box sticks out so far that if someone's tailgating you, they cannot see your brake light. It blocks it. So this sits in a little bit further. But in this box, always got to be prepared for everything to fall out. There we go. I have some blocks for underneath my jack. I got my power cord, a surge protector. I have a little mat for outside, and I have this little pop-up fire pit. Unbelievable. It packs so tight. You don't have to bring it in the van. You don't smell that wood burning smell when you put it away. You just put it in this package here, and I can fit a lot more stuff in here. I just riveted right to the luminous back carrier. It just clips right in place. And you can put a lock on it. These things fade, so I use some shine on it to make it look nice for the video. Back here is the partition wall for the rear bath. So again, a friend made me this insert. This corner here is all welded in place. It curves in, goes all the way around, but I got hooks here for some shoes for biking. I got a little speaker box. I got some tools for biking on all these different little boxes here. Of course, you got to have a skateboard with you, sunglasses, beach towel, some brushes to clean some stuff off. Got an outside shower, hot and cold water I could click in right here. Got a bicycle lock. This comes open so I could get to the valves for winterization. This is a bathroom light, but also when you're outside, when you're working on your bike, you can turn that light on right from here. Helmets hanging here. That's the little closet where my pillows are. I got some rocking chairs. Got a little, what do you call it? You could dry your clothes on. A clothesline hangs over your side view mirror, and some tools down in here. And then below the floor where the old battery was, the old AGM or lead acid battery would have had, I put a lot of tools down in that well. So this goes all the way down below the floor of the van in a nice metal box. And then for privacy, when you're in the bathroom, I made these snap in and zip up privacy shades. Gives you complete privacy, and all you have to do is just zip them up in seconds. You want to use the bathroom, no one can see in. This side I did a half one because when you close the door, it meets up with this wall, and it allows when you open up your wardrobe, you have light in there. So it's worked very well. Over here, I got some bumper storage, so it's like an extension, different pieces for the waist hose go in there, and it's lockable. I never had to lock it. And then I have my valves for the rear air suspension, also another air chuck. I have a hitch I could tow up to 5,000 pounds. Of course, you got the 7-way over here. And then I have really bright backup lights back here. So that illuminates this whole entire area when I got to back up. You know, the big van, heavy van, hard to see sometimes. I'm always worried about harming someone, so safety first. One-up bike rack. I could put my gravel bike and my regular mountain bike up here. It's even fit a beach cruiser. It could fit an e-bike. One complaint I have, Illuminous does a great job and they built a great product. It just, over time, this bottom bolt, when the bikes start racking, it oblonged the hole quite a bit. So what I do is on a big trip, I put the bikes and I'll ratchet strap it so it doesn't rack back and forth, which will just make that hole bigger and bigger and bigger. LED taillights in the back, they're really bright when you hit your brakes. I'm always worried about someone rear-ending me. Outside GFCI protected electrical outlet. I put a new water heater in, but it's the same old style. It's a gas DSI 6-gallon water heater with aluminum tank, drain plug here in the corner. But the original water heater blew up on me. I guess it just rotted out over time. Over here by the engine exhaust, I added a cable I could pull out underneath. This comes out about 20 feet, and I can lock my bike. So if I didn't want the bike on the bike rack and I wanted lawn chairs or whatever outside, I could lock them up at night. Stainless steel cover for the potable freshwater tank, 18-gallon tank fill. Cooktop ventilation, so I could vent outside if I'm gonna cook. I don't cook. I heat things up, I make coffee. 18,000 BTU propane furnace. And then I have slider windows here, here, and one on the other side. So with a Sprinter van, it's great. You open up the sliding door and you can stand, you can see outside. On this van, you either got to duck or go like this to see out the windows, just because this is the normal roof line of the van. And sometimes people have a hard time getting in and out because it's so tall off the ground. I did keep the propane on board, so there is a propane tank down here. I did replace that 7 years ago, and there's no rust on it, so it's all good. But that's all I use for, that's it, hot water, heat, and the cooktop. In here I have more of my shades. The little pouches I made back in the day out of wax canvas for emergency recovery things. And then in here, just a whole slew of a jack, helps me get the tire up. You can step on it, it's like this little skateboard, pushes the tire up and allows you to spin it to put it on, because those things are heavy. And then there's a plate for the jack, emergency plug tire, a toe strap, gloves. This thing, there's ratchets, there's all sorts of things. It goes all the way back to here. Everything is jam-packed in this cabinet. And you can see like water, right? So I have water in the freshwater tank, but this thing is 28 years old. I don't drink that water. I bring, you'll see jugs of these everywhere in the van. I bring them with me. Got a furnace duct here, magazine rack. There's a 600 watt inverter on board too. So there's a small inverter. That's what I had first. That's good for like a laptop computer. What do you need to crank up a 3,000 watt inverter for if you're just using a laptop? So I can plug in here, there's USB. The porch light there, you can see that illuminates this area very, very well. And I could turn on and off the inverter from there. First aid kit, flashlight, fire extinguisher here. And then over on this side, more water. And there's plenty of storage underneath the seat as well. So let's jump inside. I think we covered enough on the outside. Welcome to the space. It's a tight space in here, but when you lay in bed, it looks huge. And you're like, wow, I can't believe this is all in a van. And there is so much going on in here. It's gonna take us a little while to get through it all. We'll start up front. Regular Ford Econoline front dash. Of course, I got cruise control and all the goodies. I even have a brake controller if I want to tow my Airstream trailer. I did upgrade that center console piece because they're interchangeable for many years. I got one from a 2022, so it has regular size cup holders that are actually usable. And this chair, I never swivel it, but we'll swivel it today, just to open up the space quite a bit. See, it's kind of tight. It just smushes everything I got. But once you get it swiveled, it's not bad. So you sit nice and low to the ground. Some of the Sprinters and ProMasters, when you swivel a chair, you're sitting up so high, your feet are dangling. But it gives me access, you know, here's the shifter to put it in 4-wheel drive and 4 low. Behind the seat here, got a little tissue box and the fuse panel. So many comments on that. Why'd you put the fuse panel behind the seat? What if the fuse breaks for the seat and you can't get it forward? On an RV, like everything in the back is a separate fuse panel than everything in the front. So the fuse panel for this front cockpit area is outside or underneath the dash. So no matter what happens, I can still get this chair forward to get to the fuse panel. Over here, don't mind my spaghetti wires, but I have the battery charger, solar controller, alternator charger, all my fuses and breakers, everything in here. And I even have the switches to turn on and off each one of the batteries, and even the Wii Boost in here. And this is all oak construction, poplar for all the frames, and it's held up extremely well for all these years. I just throw this together. This van originally had baby blue carpet on the inside, and it had a jackknife flower print sofa, which was not comfortable at all to sleep on. So when I updated this van, I built this bench. And you're going to see in a little bit, this thing actually slides out and makes into a double bed, which is 48 by 78. I never do that. This is a single bed the way it is. That's all I need. But at night, you want to pull over somewhere, you want to go to sleep, this privacy curtain, you unroll it and it snaps in all the way around across the front. So you have complete privacy of the front cockpit. When you walk around the outside of the van, it just looks like a black hole back here, like a work van. It's obviously not a work van when you look at the outside. But let me move my Wii Boost antenna. Let me show you this. So what you do is lift up, slide, and then this bifolds forward. And look at this. Don't mind the stains from way back in the day when this thing leaked at one point. But look at that, you got an awesome space up here. And what I do, climb up. And I'm 5'9", and I can sleep perfect diagonal. I could sleep this way if I want to. You could sleep 2 people up here, and you got the whole back of the van just wide open. You got a vent window there, a vent window there. You have a light, you have privacy curtains that go all the way around. I have a max fan with manual controls. Even have a little discreet smoke detector, and then you could put your cell phone and stuff on top of these cabinets. It's really well thought out. And each one of the windows has an insect screen on it. And it's a regular mattress. Look how thick this thing is. And when you want to put it away, all you do is lift up on it, lift up on this, bring it back. It slips over a lip here, so it doesn't come out when you're driving, and drop it down. There you go, your bed is away. Now this bed is a whole nother story, and this is the one that I use most of the time. So what I do is I undo this lagoon table, swivel it out like that. I take all these cushions and put them on the floor. It's that easy. And you have a single bed in here. And I'll show you. Look at this. Plenty of room for one person. Before I make this into a bed, let me slide these forward and show you some more stuff. So in here is an access hatch. Gets me to, this is a Bluetooth control smart dongle, but I got the multi-plus here. I got my big breaker over here. All the wires that come in for the on-off switches for the batteries, the battery cables in here. There's even seat belts in here, because this originally had seat belts in a sofa. I left them in, I put holes in it so you could fish them up through. I've never had anybody back here, never needed to seat someone back here. So they're there if they ever do. And then here's another tip. This little carpet material, really thin, has a sticky back to it. Put that down. These cushions never slide anywhere, and they sit nice and firm. Now, to make this into a bed, take the lagoon off. People are always like, oh, where's it go? I don't know, where's it go? Well, I'm not using the driver's seat. That's not a swivel seat, so I'll put it on the driver's seat. Take the leg out. This slides all the way out. Of course, interferes with the swivel chair. And you squeeze all these in. And that bed winds up being 48 inches wide. So you could do 2 adults in this bed so easily here. And it's all ultra leather material. It's called Dwell. It's actually got grip to it, so it's not slippery when you sit on it. And then you could put a fitted sheet over it, but you don't really need all that for one person. And to put it away, and everybody asks, where do you put all your bedding? Oh no, it's down here. Comforter, pillows, everything goes into these zip-up bags that you can slide under your bed at home. Well, things can get dusty in here, right? Zip them up in the bags, and they're safe and ready to use when you need them. Now let's take a look at the kitchen and bath. A lot of counter space, more counter space than I ever need. Because of the counter space, there is a lot of extra storage, so, but even look, you can pop that up even more and have more counter space there. Got a silverware drawer loaded with all stuff I don't use all the time, but it's nice to have. Open up the other back half, you got your trash in here, fire starters, shopping bags, garbage bags, everything you need in one spot. More storage here for more junk I don't use. The furnace discharge, spot for your sponge. And then I have more water in here. I have a turn-off switch for the inverter. The furnace ducts run through there, so it's a good bulk storage area. But I also have a double sink with the original sink covers. I only ever use one side. These are nice. I just put them all over the place. Keep things from being damp. Regular household faucet with sprayer. I got a fluorescent light here. This is kind of, see how bright it is in here? This isn't how I normally roll. This is it. If I'm in here, this is the one light that I use. For the sake of the video, to make it brighter for you guys, we'll put on these obnoxious LED lights. I like fluorescent or incandescent better. Over here, cleaning surprise. I left the generator start-stop button, but I could turn on off the water heater here. I got my internet in here, some wiring back there, but it's nice to have all your cleaning supplies in one spot. Over here, bags, salt and pepper, all the stuff you're gonna need. But look, right over the kitchen, you can do everything you need to do. You're gonna make a protein shake, make some eggs, everything's right here. The air conditioning is remote control. So we're not plugged in, we're running off the lithium. Turn it on. It's not bad. It's a pretty quiet unit. So in about like 15 minutes, gets it nice and cool in here. On a really hot day, if you're parked in the sun, it will run continuous because the van takes on so much heat because it's all metal and you have windows all the way around. Also have control here for the furnace to turn it on and off. I got a ledge to put all my stuff. I made these curtains. They slide all the way across. There's also one behind the sofa. Upgraded to USB-C. I got a Nest camera in here, outlet, solar charge display. Really cloudy right now. We're only getting 8 watts in. And then there's a 3-burner gas cooktop. Big problem with this is this thing just likes to all of a sudden wake up and drop down on you when you're heating stuff up. So a lot of times I'll have to put something back there. You know, it wasn't designed for this van. This lid's supposed to go up further so it locks in. But it's worked well. And there's also a gas oven. So I don't cook, but I like to heat things up. So I got a full gas oven, and I've used the heck out of this thing. It works really well. There's also storage here, but I have the water pump, the strainer, everything I need access to for winterization right there. All right, moving over this side. Let's go back here. 2 roof lockers. These are called roof lockers, if people want to know the technical term. But I upgraded the raise arms, put a little locker here. This is just if someone wants to do a smash and grab. They just want to smash a window and grab whatever they can. I can lock things in here. It's just going to be harder for them to get to. Got my clothes in here, of course. There's clothes that live in this van. My buddies over at GP Factor. Of course, you got Do It for Dale, a Cletus McFarlane shirt. And I have stuff that just stays in here. Look, I got socks, underwear, hats, everything you need. So you don't have to pack the van to go somewhere for a day. You got enough to get by. A little shameless plug. This gentleman, Holden Art, he's like, you got to have this. I'm going to mail it to you. So normal toilet paper in a RV, it comes unraveled when you're driving. It just comes all over the floor. So he made a ratcheting one, which is pretty cool. And it just slips over this egg beater end. And you could adjust the ratchet so you could pull the toilet paper off with one hand. So you don't need one hand to hold it and one hand to rip it. So you could adjust the tension based on your thickness of your toilet paper. So really cool. Guy was awesome enough to, I didn't install it yet. I've had it for a little while, but I told him I'd try it one day, and I think it's excellent. Back here is this kitchen supplies and emergency quick meals if you need it. Dry erase board I never write on anymore. I added another outlet, which I didn't have back in the day. It was nice to have an outlet right by your bed. And then up here is kitchen supplies, my NutriBullet, everything in here organized for coffee. And then towels and shower type stuff in here. Even have like a sleeping bag, just in case you don't want to bring out the big blanket. Just makes it a little bit more comfortable for you. But I could leave this down as a tray, so when I get out of the shower, I could rest things here instead of putting them on the kitchen counter. And this is Nova Cool. This is 3.1 cubic foot. There's always something that falls out. This is part of it. So I don't live in it, but I do pack some stuff in here because I do take this out for work and filming and day trips. So of course I got everything I need in here. Mostly seltzers. You know, I have the water outside of the fridge, apples in the bottom, some AG1. They sponsored one of my videos, so I've been taking that. daily. All right, now let's head to the bathroom. So in the bathroom, we got a lot going on. I got a porcelain toilet back here. Lift up the bowl, step your foot on the pedal, gives you a flush in the tank, doesn't smell. You empty the tank when I get home right into my city sewer. It's perfectly legal. And then there's a sprayer off to the side if you want to spray down the bowl. Then I even added a bidet. So there's a bidet back here that really keeps it nice and clean and fresh. And then over here is the shower wand, and then that hangs up in the roof here, so you could shower like a rain shower. I installed a new shower faucet, so you adjust your temperature here and your pressure here, which is excellent. My old one, I always bump into it, and all of a sudden I get really ice cold water, then scalding hot water. I couldn't get it right. This has been a game changer. And it's all fiberglass. The whole bottom's fiberglass, the sink is fiberglass, the counter is fiberglass, the wall is fiberglass. Got a bathroom fan that lifts up. You can turn it on, the vent out. I got a halo light with a motion sensor. Got my rear cabinet. These are nice. These are like pencil cases. I could put toothbrush and stuff in here, shaving stuff in another one. I go on a trip, I want to check into a hotel, I just grab these and bring them and put them in my suitcase. And then back here, you just got supplies. Oh gosh. COVID masks, remember them? More supplies back here. Just an excellent place to put stuff. There's even an outlet here and a 12-volt socket, which I never used, but that's what you would use for your bathroom. It kept it dry. And how does it keep it dry? Well, if you just want to use the toilet, you pull this accordion door shut, and that gives you some privacy. If you want to shower, you undo the shower curtain, and the shower curtain goes on this track that goes all the way around, goes around this side, and meets up right here, and gives you access to get to the shower faucet and bring your shower wand through. Nothing ever gets wet. Everybody thinks these cabinets are going to get soaking wet. They're not. It keeps them dry. I got a spot for laundry and toilet paper here. Got a furnace duct over there. Back here, I got my wardrobe so I could hang my clothes in here. I got a little ledge back there. I got some pockets for underwear and socks. I mean, this is fantastic. It goes all the way back. My solar controller's hidden back here. And I use this shower all the time. I would say I've used it 150, 200 times. And it's really good. And I use the toilet all the time because dealing with a black tank is so much easier than a cassette toilet or a compost style toilet. And a lot of people don't agree with me, but I've been in the RV business for almost 25 years. It is definitely way easier and easier for me to manage and empty my waste. The floor is held up fantastic. This is a life-proof floor, and it's on top of a rubber membrane, so it's not ice cold when you're walking on it. Another thing before we head out, I got a tank monitoring system for my fresh tank, gray tank, black tank, propane tank, and battery system. I can turn on and off the water pump from here. Hood light, illuminate this area, and the hood fan, which vents right outside. Well, that concludes the updated tour of my 1997 Airstream B190 camper van, which I call the Mega Airstream. Now, I do take care of this because I need it to be ready to go at any moment, which is nice about a camper van like this. It's not a camping trip. I just turn the key and I go, and I have everything I need with me. So I do change the oil, the gear oil, the transmission fluid, lube all the fittings underneath, air filter, fuel filter, you name it. It's done and it's ready to go. If you guys have any suggestions of other things I should be doing with this van or updates and improvements you think would benefit me, I'd love to hear from you. Put them down in the comment and I'll see you in the next tour.